The land we call the Ozark Mountains are actually plateaus carved into hills by the abundant rivers and streams of the area. Karst landforms are prominent throughout the Ozarks. This term refers to geologic features carved or created by groundwaters, such as sinks, caverns, and sinkholes.
Tradition says that much of the land was grass-grown prairie. Timber was only growing along the branches flowing from the springs at different points. The first known people to occupy the land, which is now northwest Arkansas, were the Osage Indians. These people lived in what is now southwest Missouri. They used northwest Arkansas as their hunting grounds.
They didn't have a written language, so their stories got passed down by oral speaking. We can also learn about these stories by the artifacts they left behind.
The French reclaimed this land from the Spanish in 1800. They then sold it to the young United States of America in 1803 for $15 million. This purchase allowed them to pay off their debts, antagonize the British. It also allowed the Americans to push farther west and explore.
In 1812, America was fighting Britain, while Britain was fighting Napoleon of France. Now, also what was going on in the South was the Creek and Indian War. The Creeks were versus the Cherokee Indians, who also had Major Ridge.
To settle debts owed to U.S. soldiers in the War of 1812, U.S. government surveyors parceled the land in 1815 surveys and the surveys which followed. Following this, Cherokees were driven out of their homes in the mainland of Tennessee and Georgia, and most of them settled here. This angered Major Ridge because of who had given up hope that the Cherokee would be able to stay on their homes in the mainland.
In 1838, Cherokees, with the Ridge settlers, came Miss Sophia Sawyer, who later established one of the first schools in northwest Arkansas at the Fayetteville Female Seminary. Among Miss Sophia Sawyer's first students were 17 Cherokee girls. In 1838, other Cherokees, led by John Ross, passed through this land as they were forced on their way to Oklahoma reservations on what we know as the Trail of Tears.
In 1819, Arkansas Territory was created by an act of Congress. Cane Hill, settled in 1827, was the earliest settlement of the area and the location of Cane Hill College, established in 1850. Washington County was established in 1828 with Fayetteville, once called Washington Courthouse, for the county seat.
Among the first settlers in Fayetteville were George Magara, who settled just southwest of what is today the Fayetteville Town Square, and James Leeper, who settled on the east end of what is now Center Street, just north of the town square.
Fayetteville was surveyed into lots in 1835 by McClellan's then deputy surveyor. 5 men, including William Magara, bore the chain. The original town lots were auctioned for a sum of $6,339, which was then used to build a courthouse, a clerk's office, and to pay other expenses.
Another early settler, David Walker, purchased 3 lots near the square. He eventually donated one of these lots to Miss Sophia Sawyer to build her female seminary.
David Walker was a prominent citizen, a delegate to the convention that drafted Arkansas's first constitution, a respected judge, and president to the 1861 secession convention and more.
Isaac Murphy, who is well known for his one dissenting vote when Arkansas seceded from the Union, was an early Fayetteville settler, arriving in 1834. He taught school and he practiced law before leaving for the California Gold Rush in an effort to regain his health as well as to gain a fortune.
Arkansas became a state in 1836. Archibald Yell became the congressman and the second governor for the new state. He was then elected twice more into the U.S. Congress, but resigned his post in 1846 to serve in the Mexican War, where he was killed in a charge in the Battle of Buena Vista.
So we are now going to recite for you, the Junior Heritage School is going to recite for you the incredible story of Archibald Yell, author unknown. It was published in the Ozark Mountaineer magazine in 1976, but it was written long before that.
Between 1810 and 1848, our country grew from Georgia to the Golden Gate, but only one man in history fought in every war that spread our territory out so far.
He was Archibald Yell, a fighting fool, a frontier fighter of the Jackson School. He was with Andrew Jackson down at Horseshoe Bend, where the Indian raids in Alabama came to an end.
And then when the Seminoles began their raids, he fought the Indians in the Everglades. He chased the Spanish governor from Tampa Bay and helped to add Florida to the USA.
Then, as Captain Archie and still in his teens, he fought with Andrew Jackson down at New Orleans, where the frontier rifles stopped Lord Pakenham and held the Mississippi for Uncle Sam. Jackson said to Archie, "I became your friend when I saw you fight the Indians down at Horseshoe Bend. I need a man like you who knows no fear to bring law and order to the wild frontier."
So Archibald Yell then studied law, and Andrew Jackson sent him out to Arkansas, where the rough frontiersmen liked him so well, they named a town and a county after Archibald Yell.
And Archibald Yell had no long to wait until he was given a new state. The settlers knew that he would always fight for any brand new cause he knew was right.
Arkansas sent him down to Washington, the first man in Congress and the favorite son. But in 1846, he resigned his seats when the drums of Texas began to beat.
Mounted to the saddle, he sat straight and tall, and the men of the Ozarks rallied to his call. He said, "Come on, men, we gotta go and help Zachary Taylor down in Mexico."
With blankets on their saddles and guns in hand, he led his men to the Rio Grande. No braver men were ever bred than the Ozark men that Archie led. That Buena Vista was a whale of a fight. When the Yankee lines gave way on the right, Jefferson Davis tried to stop the rout, but 1,000 more Mexicans circled him about. Archie seen the fix that Jeff Davis was in and said, "Come on, men, we've got to charge again." And riding like the wind with their swords held high, they charged like men unafraid to die.
Ozark hillbillies hitting left and right, far outnumbered but ready to fight. They won that fight, but the force that fell was hard fighting Archibald Yell.
Andrew Jackson made a name, and Taylor and Davis are known to fame, but old Arch Yell, his life was spent making each of the other three a president.
Archibald Yell died unsung. He was braver than the bravest, but he died too young. But in the tales of heroes that the history books tell, there will never be another like Archibald Yell.
Whenever you danced social dances, the reason they were social dances is because you are constantly changing partners when you're dancing. And you would never show up to a dance unless you were ready to dance. So it was considered bad manners for the gentleman to not ask a lady to dance for every dance. If the ladies got tired of dancing, they could say, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to dance," but if they ever declined to dance with a partner for a dance, they must sit out that dance and the next one also. So everyone would be dancing, and during the dancing, that was your time to socialize. That was your time to visit. They didn't have boyfriend, girlfriend back in the 1800s, really, like we do today. And if you were if you were already married, you weren't going to dance with your husband or your wife, because then you didn't get to socialize with the other people who were there at the get-together. And so you were always dancing with other people. All right, now we are going to do a circle dance. This one is called Soldier's Joy. And in this one we are dancing in a circle, but we're dancing in small squares just as well.
Hey, strangers. Hey, strangers.
So in this one we will stay with our partners, but we will be dancing with different partners. The next dance we're going to dance is called the Jefferson Water Wheel. We appreciate all of our dancers coming and just jumping in, and our parents, wherever we need them to jump in. And thank you for watching.